Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you another video. Today we are doing a Act 3 and Act 4 review for the Simpsons Tapped Out Rise of the Robots update. So, both acts have dropped. I've played through both acts. I've read the quest line. I've played the character quest lines. I've unlocked everything. I've done with the event now. I've finished the event. So, today we're going to be reviewing both Act 3 and Act 4. Now, I have some things to say about Act 4. I didn't feel very positively about Act 4. Act 3, I think, was good. I actually enjoyed Act 3, but I still think, I'm just going to straight up tell you now, before we even start the video, I think the best acts were Act 1 and 2. I think those were just way stronger. The quest line was way stronger. The content we got, I felt, was way stronger too. It might have something to do with my biasness and how I love NPCs. And we got two NPCs in both Act 1 and we got one NPC in Act 1 and another in Act 2. So maybe it's because of that, but I feel very strongly about Act 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I'm a little But whatever, regardless, we're going to go through both 3 and 4 and talk about them. And then we'll briefly talk about the premium content that was added. And at the very end of the video, I'll just give my overall ranking of which one I think is the worst and which one I think is the best out of all the acts. So let's go. Act 3. So Act 3 was, of course, called Who's the Bot? So there was definitely some great stuff that we got in Act 3, for sure. I do think Act 3, for the most part, is very strong. The first thing we got was the Flanders car Possibot. Possibot? And also that was the first prize. The second prize was the Simpsons car Possibot. And I want to talk about these pretty much together because they are similar decorations in the sense that this is Homer's car and Flanders' car. But when you tap it, it turns into a big robot. So it's basically just straight up a transformer. I mean, the Homer's car one is literally just Optimus Prime. It's not even. This is like the ballsiest I've ever seen them go. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the parody on this is like questionable. But yeah, I like both of these. I think they're awesome decorations. If you don't like the robots, you can just keep them as the cars. So I like that aspect. Yes, now we do have technically two Homer cars, but again, if that really annoys you, if that really pisses you off, you can just tap one of them and turn it into a robot, or you can store one of them away. So I actually really adore both these decorations. I love how you can just click them and transform them back into their cars. Gives a lot of freedom. So I give massive thumbs up to both those decorations. I think they are very awesome, and I think they deserve to be in the prize track. Then we have the Springfield Robotics Laboratory. So this is the third prize. It's not an amazingly interesting building. I think it looks fine. I don't hate the look of it or anything. It's just nothing that wows me. It doesn't really stick out. But that being said, I still like it. I don't dislike it. So I give this one the thumbs up still. I think it's still a good building. The fourth prize we got was the giant Buzz Cola can. This was one I thought didn't need to be added. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not like going crazy about it. You know, I think it's fine. It's just a fine decoration. Like it's difficult enough to place. Like I haven't built anything yet, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head, where am I going to put this, and I have no idea. But yeah, I think it's just a meh to fine decoration. And then finally, the final prize of Act 3 is, of course, Bestius Muchos. God, I can't speak. I love this character. I think this character is really cool. It's got pretty decent animations. The questline was decent enough for him. Yeah, I liked this character overall. Very cool. Is it him? I'm not even sure. I don't remember. Yeah, so great. Good character overall. I like. So, yeah, Act 3 I think is fairly solid. Apart from that Buzz Cola can, I think everything in there is very good. So, yeah, very solid act. However, I will say the questline for this wasn't great. I wasn't particularly wowed. It was a bit boring, so That's like my biggest critique of Act 3. So let's move on to Act 4. But before we move on to Act 4, briefly just want to talk about the premium content, which is of course Brenda with the Thai food factory. I like Brenda. I think she's an awesome character. I give her a huge thumbs up. I think she's really cool. The Thai food factory, though, not gonna lie, a bit of a weird combo with her. They could have easily added her with the police academy or with the mugshot, the little police bar. There's plenty of police buildings they could have given us to, or they could have just given us any. I'm sure there's multiple buildings they could have given us. Like they could have given us like a meth lab, like the meth lab. I think there's a meth lab, isn't there? And like one of the Cletus is like runs it or something. Like they could have given us with that, because at least then it makes sense. You know, she's stopping crime, and that's when the town exploded. You know, the Thai food factory was just a really weird combo with her. That's like my biggest criticism with it. I think the Thai food factory on itself though is a pretty cool building. I think Brenda is a great character. So overall, I think very good. Then we come on to Act 4. So Act 4 is of course called Welcome to the Cyberdome. Now, I'm going to be straight up, I think Act 4 is the weakest of the entire event. I don't think it really ruins the event that much, but I do think it's a little bit of a letdown of an ending. This is a great event, and I think the first 2 acts are like 10 out of 10s. Act 3, I think, just because of the questline, I think the Act 3 is a 9 out of 10. Although I don't hold a huge weight on questlines. I think, for the most part, the prizes are the things that stick with you. But Act 4, I think, is probably, I want to say like a 6. Like, I think Act 4 is a huge letdown. Now, we'll go through the prizes, but I just want to briefly talk about the questline. Oh god, it was so dragging and boring. I hated the Act 4 questline was awful. I liked how they included Mrs. Frink and the Frink family very briefly, but yeah, I just didn't find it particularly great. Let's go through the prizes though. So let's start off with the first prize, which is Emma. So you guys probably know what I'm going to say. It shouldn't be a building. I don't think this one should be a building. It's a machine. It should be a decoration. Maybe... I sometimes kind of say, like, well, if you want a decoration that earns cash, then just make it a decoration that earns cash. But then I guess that kind of defeats the purpose of decorations. Like, you don't need to have a building in every act. Sure, it makes it stronger. I think having a building is better. But I'm trying to think if there's any other buildings off the top of my head. I'm sure there probably is, though. Add something else. Add another building. If you have to loosely tie it in, then loosely tie it in. I much prefer just to have more buildings in the act, even if they're not entirely well tied in. Like, as long as they make an effort to try and tie them in, I'm normally cool with them just adding random buildings in. This one, I think, is just not great. It's just not a great building. I don't think it should be a building, and even as a decoration, it's a bit... it's tricky-ish to place, just because it's an interior. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think it's the worst building of the event, for sure. And not a great start to Act 4. The second prize is Cyborg Bart. Now, I think Cyborg Bart is one of the positives for this act. I think he's great. I think he's got a decent enough quest line. I think he's got fair enough animations. Like, they're pretty decent. And the costume is awesome. So I think this one I can't fault. I gotta give huge props for Cyborg Bart. I think he's great. Then we have the last 3 prizes. So the first one is the ATM Pause Bart. Not gonna lie, wasn't necessary. I think they could have given us all the... I may as well just talk about all of them. So you got the ATM Pause Bart, the Squishy Machine Bot, and the Hot Dog Cooker Bot. I think that these 3 could have been given to us, but as a combo. I think they should have just been one prize and a combo of all 3 of them. I don't think they needed to give us all 3 of them as separate prizes. And I think this really hurt Act 4 and is my biggest criticism of this event. It was the Chief Nokohoma, but now I'm starting to sway a little bit. I still agree it should be a costume. I still think it should be a costume, but I'm starting to sway a little bit. I don't really care too much about that. But this, I think, is the weakest point because they did not need to have free prizes for each of them separately. A combo would have been fine. I think they are fine enough decorations, but they are like what I would call low-scale decorations. So I have like this hierarchy of decorations, right? Because decorations are a peculiar thing. So you have your, what I like to call sort of major decorations. Let's call them major decorations or big decorations. You can call them things or whatever you want. So that would be things like the Springfield Bridge that we got in the All This Jazz, or the Krusty Oil Rig. I think that's a decoration. Pretty sure. I'm not even 100% sure myself now. Is that what? But things like that, right? Basically big things, right? And then you have your sort of what I like to call major-ish. We'll just call it major-ish decorations, and that's stuff like, you know, the Buzz Cola Dome, for example, or your Smashiest Clay, things like that, like big-ish things that make sense to be added as decorations. And then you have your what I like to call decorating decorations. That's things like fences, bushes, like really helpful stuff that you can use to decorate a design of a certain building or a certain collection of decorations. And then what you have is your, I like to call them the unique ones, right? And the unique ones are things like this, because what am I going to do with like the ATM one? I think that's fair. I could probably place that anywhere. It does look a little big though, so it doesn't look great when you place it next to a fairly medium-sized building. It just looks a bit stupidly big. But the ATM one I like. The squishy one and the hot dog roller, what am I going to do with them? Like, the squishy machine I think is awful. It's like too small. It needs to be bigger. If it was bigger, then it could have been alright and I could have, easily placed it somewhere. The hot dog cooker box, I've got no ideas what I'm going to do with that. And then, of course, when you tap them into robots, they're robots. And I think, if you just want to decorate them as robots, then that's fine. Have like a little robot area. I think you could do something there. But, again, my biggest complaint here is that I don't think it was necessary to add them as 3 separate prizes. I think they're pretty mediocre decorations on their own, aside from maybe the ATM bot. But after that, like, after the fact that they're 3 separate prizes, that's the thing that annoys me the most. I think a combo would have been fine and give us 2 extra prizes. Throw in another robot as the final prize. There's so many robots in The Simpsons. They could have just given us anything as the final prize, or switch it around a little bit. Maybe give us Cyborg Bart as the final prize, and then throw in a character as the second prize, and then just add them as a combo, and then throw in another building. Like, I don't know. It may sound like I'm really like nitpicky, but I'm not for this one. I'm pretty confident in this critique. I really think that should have just been a combo, like I said. But anyway, that is it for Act 4. Sorry for the bit of a ramble. Carnage Destructus was, of course, the premium. I think he's fine. Like, I think his animations are a bit crappy to meh. His questline was decent. I like the questline. The character itself, it looks awesome. So there's pros and cons there. I think the good questline looks awesome. The negatives are not great animations. So there you have it. I mean, I think the actual character itself is fine. It's good. The decoration it comes with, though, the human foosball table, nah, I don't like that one. Bad decoration. And not great, not worth the price of 150. You're getting a cool character, but you're getting a really crappy decoration with it. So, I'm a huge fan of that football table. So, that is Act 3 and 4 summed up in my awful, rambly review style. So, what do I think overall? I think this event has been great. I think it's been a really solid event. I've certainly had nitpicks here and there, but they have literally just been that, nitpicks. My biggest critique, like I said, is with Act 4. I just think Act 4 is a little bit of it feels like it's lagging behind the other acts, and it felt a little underwhelming for the ending. I don't think it hurt the event too much. I just think it was a little bit underwhelming. But overall, the event was great. So, yeah, there you go. Obviously, the worst act was obviously Act 4. The second worst act, I think, is probably Act 3, in my opinion. Mainly because of the quest line, but there was certainly some... It was still pretty strong. The next best one is Act 1. I think Act 1 is in second place. Actually, I changed my mind. Wait, do I change my mind? No, I don't change my mind. Act 1 is the second best, and then the best act, in my opinion, is Act 2. I just think Act 2 is a far better act. So, but Act 1, 2, and 3, I think, are still very good. They are high scorers, for sure. So, those are my opinions of Act 3 and 4, and 1 and 2, all summed up. Stay tuned soon for the content list. Should be coming out tomorrow, where we'll go through all of the items we got, and one last time I'll give my overall thoughts of every single item individually. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.